This is really, I think I described this as diversity and inclusion for 2020. This is the opportunity to really embrace all of the diversity that's in this organization, understand our values, our traditions, how we're all connected in the community. And then we're really going to just explore that through, performing arts, through whether it's cooking or, this shows the art of etiquette. I'm not totally clear exactly how that manifests, but I think that from what I've heard from our national advisors, that there are a lot of speakers that will come on and do meetings for the girls and the moms. So there may be a mom's, a parent evening where the moms get to listen to a speaker that's current for something that's on our minds, right? The girls will get different types of speakers for issues that are more specific and age appropriate for them. Some of those will be recorded. So if you're not able to make the time of the meeting where the speaker is speaking, the girls will have the opportunity, or the moms will have the opportunity, to then come back and listen to those sessions. So those are ways that you're incorporating your hours of being part of the league. So when you see the hours and the commitments, those are all built in. They're not in addition to, they're all part of it. So, I think a lot of this we get to experience and build ourselves as the Northern Westchester chapter. There is usually a tea. If you think of, I don't know if anyone's been to Carramore, but I know I did this with some friends a few years ago. Carramore hosts a tea here in Katona. It's really nice. There's, classical music, and being a previous life opera singer, it was perfect for me. But it's, things like that. There was a tea. We may end up doing a barbecue. Just depends on, what's comfortable for our chapter. So senior recognition night for those graduating seniors. Obviously, we don't have any graduating seniors yet. We don't have a chapter yet, but those are the types of things that we talk about when we talk about cultural experiences. Any questions there? No? Okay, great. I'm going to backtrack for 2 seconds because I skipped the core values. I think these are important to keep as a framework. So the biggest piece here is that we are honoring the mother-daughter bond, right? So this is a mother-daughter organization. We're going to learn together. We're going to grow together. We're responsible together. We're being gracious together. I think that there is this legacy of social awareness and compassion that just rings through so much of this organization. And I think that really is the sweetness and the integrity that NCL just sort of breathes into everything that they do. So we're really representative of that. I think about how we hold ourselves in the community, how we behave as individuals, but also as an organization. We're providing this incredible support to our local and national communities in need, and we're doing it with excellence, right? And we're doing it in a way that fosters mentorship and caring and support. And I think that's not just to the organizations, but also to one another. So from that perspective, I love that nurturing, learning, sort of facilitating of positivity in a time where I think it's probably needed most. So just a little bit about the core values. Let me just see. Okay, membership. This is where we get into the nitty gritty, and I'm going to lean a little bit on my fellow board members here. But so the patronesses, as I talked about, these are the moms. There are 5 patroness meetings a year. You get to volunteer with your daughter, and you get to hold a leadership position each year. And by leadership, it doesn't mean you have to be on the board. It just means, I think Amanda spoke to it earlier, that you have the opportunity to be on the communications team, or be on the membership team, or support, in any number of ways. So that's your opportunity. And then the daughters, the TikTokers, are attending 6 grade level meetings a year, also volunteering with their moms, and also holding those leadership positions. So pretty basic, but if we look at the time commitment, this is where it maps out a little more clearly. So philanthropy hours are when we're actually doing the work. Mm-hmm. So that could be anything from shopping and making sandwiches for, a breakfast with, I can use an example. So we did, not through NCL, but we've done this through other organizations, but we've fed the homeless. We would bring breakfast for the homeless and brought it to a local, sort of centralized location. But the hours would encompass the shopping, the making of the sandwiches, the dropping off of the sandwiches. So usually they get chunked into pieces. So it's not as if you're going to have 1 hour for that activity. That could be 3 hours, right? So 3 hours, you're, a third of the way there for the year just by doing one activity. So it's really a very small time commitment when you span it over the year. The league hours, as we mentioned, were those grade level meetings, the moms meetings, and those are 5 to 6 meetings a year. So you're there, right? There's not much more that you need to do to meet those numbers. It might be if you're, working on a communications thing for an hour 1 week in the year, that'll give you an extra hour. And then on the event side, those are our when we all come together, the chapter tea, any cultural events that we do, if we can get back into the space, recognition events, things of that nature. We have a formation event, like a kickoff event when we actually form, which should be, there's one December and then there's something else in January. So again, those may all be virtual right now. So it might just be hopping on, a Zoom. You could be in the car. Like it's not, I don't want you to feel like the commitment is burdensome. I want you to be excited about participating. I think that's kind of the balance, and we all get it because we all have crazy busy lives. So
can I pop in and make a really important point here?
Please.
Hi, I'm Cheryl, and I'm their advisor from National Charity League Inc. Your meetings, the 5 to 6 meetings, will be during the time frame of August to May. You will not have any required meetings over the summer. And I think that's really important because people's lives get crazy busy over the summer. So the summer, it kind of takes time off, but you can be doing philanthropy or league hours over the summer. So you can get those philanthropy and league hours in from June 1st all the way to the next May 31st. So you've got a full year to get those hours in. But your meeting commitment is only August, basically the school year, August to May. And then June and July that are completely taken off. So I think that's important because people, we see family, we do fun things, we go on vacation. So commitment is low during the summer.
Okay. Awesome.
And our year may change a little bit because Cheryl's down in Texas, so school starts earlier down there. We don't start till after around Labor Day, so the year may be changed, but we'll make sure that there's nothing committed because there's a lot. I know a lot of people go to sleepaway camp and stuff up here, so we will make sure there's stuff throughout the year that everybody can fill their times up.
For sure, absolutely. Any questions about that time commitment? You can always do more, right? This is the minimum. So if you are really into this and you want to do a whole bunch of events, I look at what we did last year alone, and we did a lot more than this as a family, just because we wanted to do it. It's not, and it was just one of, a billion different things that we do in our lives, right? So it's really not a cumbersome commitment. I do want to stress that.
And if sorry, Shalyn, one more thing. And if you do more, there are awards you get awards and rewarded for other things. So the award recognition day, there's awards for like maybe 25 combined hours, or mom and daughter, up to 50 and 100. So there's like awards that the girls can also win. I wouldn't say win.
Get recognized.
Thank you. I'm like recognized for. I appreciate it.
And the cool thing about those awards, because you're talking about college resume, is they are national awards. And my girls are grown, so I've been through the college application process. And the Common App does ask about awards that the student has earned and if they are local or national. And these are national awards. So that's kind of even a little bit, and they're fairly easy to get. They're just a little bit over the required amount. So it is something that if your daughter aspires to it, it's gonna enhance that resume even more.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, Cheryl, because obviously I personally am not really thinking that forward yet. But I think it's so important to frame it that way because in a blink, we're going to be there, right? So having that national recognition is really key. So thank you for bringing up that point. The other piece too is that because it's our first year, we're pretty flexible with the hours the very first year because we're a prorated year. So moving into this financial commitment, you'll see that the annual dues are $125 a year for both the mom and then $125 separately for the daughter. So to go to you, Sophia, as an example, you have 2 daughters and yourself. So that would be, 125 times 3. So keep that in mind. For this year, we are going to be prorating that. And that would be just $25 for the mom and $25 for the daughter. And actually, if you look down at the bottom, it's actually a little bit more than that. It's actually $62.50 for the prorated year. And what those fees include are things like insurance, which is the bulk of the cost. Insurance, formation fees. Again, this is a 501c3 organization, so we have to file, right? That's very important that we stay compliant. So insurance, formation fees, things like you get a t-shirt that we volunteer in, for any events that we're doing, things like expenses, if we have to, print flyers for an event or things of that nature, we have a little bit of that cushion in there. And for things like our kickoff event or our tea, again, in light of COVID, some of that is just going to be really virtual. So we'll have a bit of a surplus in the account. Because we are a 501c3, it's all very monitored. So please do not be concerned about any of that. Everything is not for profit. So these dollars are actually not going to the organization directly. So let me rephrase that. They're not going to philanthropies directly. So we are not fundraising on behalf of the American Heart Association or the Kindness Project or any of those organizations. What we're doing is we're really a boots on the ground army of volunteers. So any of the expense, which I think is pretty reasonable considering what we're doing, the expense is going to sort of the operational side of things and the, necessities that are needed to run a 501c3. So the actual volunteering is happening in a hands-on way. We're never going to come to you and say, we need to raise $500, a person for the American Heart Association. We don't have dollar markers like that. And in fact, we're not allowed to fundraise on behalf of any of those organizations. We are just allowed to participate and give of ourselves and think about it from like a food drive or a clothing drive or any number of things, making, animal toys, whatever it is. Anything that we're doing is not from a hard dollar perspective. Are there any questions around that? I've received some in the past, so I just want to make sure we're clear there.
You guys are okay?
All good? Okay. Perfect. All right. So the last piece is how to join, right? So I'll flip this really back to Amanda, but I'm going to leave this on the screen for a minute because this is our email address. So we do have a prospective member packet with all the information we talked about today, and then the paperwork needed to apply. The good news is that once we are a formed chapter, you actually have to be sponsored by an active member in order to be part of the organization. So for those of you that have 6th graders, rising 6th graders, or anyone that's in that, younger space, come May, those girls are able to be involved. So from that perspective, as a forming chapter, you just get to apply and be part of it. So you kind of get to avoid that first sponsorship piece. But yes, we just literally will take the packet of information and a check. Forgive us for having to do paper, but we'll collect a check, which we will hold until we have officially formed and can open up a bank account in our Northern Westchester chapter's name. So there's a little bit of a lag when you're a forming chapter, but once that happens, everything just moves pretty smoothly. So any questions about what those next steps are? Or Amanda, do you want to dive in a little bit more?
I think you covered it. I just, the prospective packet needs to be in by November 30th in order for us to form. So our formation date is supposed to be December 6th. Once we do a formation date and everybody's filled out the packet and handed it to us by November 30th, NCL can get us started as a formation date on December 6th, which means we can start volunteering on December 6th. We can't, at that time, we won't be able to go anywhere